Hi everyone, it's Peter from PS Sound, and this is going to be the video now showing the mid-bass installation in the Volkswagen Amarok pickup. You could see introduction and a teaser video of just playing a bit of music for inspiration. In this one you will have proper in-depth content showing how that installation actually happened. Some of you might have already seen the pictures from Facebook on our Facebook page. If you search for PS Sound, even if you don't have Facebook, you can find the page and you can see the pictures. But you will also see the build pictures at the end of this video. We haven't had a chance to create content like this for a good while. Probably the last one was the Suzuki Swift project when we were doing similar madness in the kicks. You will see that this one was way more complex. When we did true RB mid-bass installation in the Suzuki Swift or the Clio Trophy, the Renault Clio Trophy, those installs were pretty straightforward. Those took like 16-20 hours all in all, and we got fantastic results in both short, tiny little cars. Suzuki is still probably the craziest. Whoever have ever managed to hear that, even with a small, tiny one-box solution amplifier running the mid-bass in a Suzuki, everyone just literally shits themselves, even me. I can't have that in any other car. It's a good question though. I've been asked, how did that happen? Is it because of the car? Quite possibly. It's, you know, it's a really short cabin, relative distance to the drivers is way closer. We deadened the hell out of the car. It's so rigid, and the transfer function of the mid-bass in the car is just so great. You can instantly feel it even in low levels, let alone, you know, turning it up. You have instant chest kicking feel with like 2mm excursion from the drivers. They don't even move yet. You feel it so accurately, and then they are so musical and so responsive. But what's going to happen with this Amarok with dual mid-bass is a completely different type of fish, and you will see that it was very difficult to make it done. Yeah, that build broke us. We had 2 weeks with Daddy to get as much done as possible. So we focused on the front end. In this video, you will only see the mid-bass installation. This way I can make the video quicker than doing everything in one hit, because we will have a separate video then just for the mid-range and the tweeter installation, which will be probably even more fun. There's way more content from that, proper time-lapse, long time-lapse videos showing how the pillars were built, for example, for the tweeters, or how the dash was taken out, all the little details. So that's going to be another one coming probably a bit later after this, hopefully this week. So you will get to see that too. And yeah, we will talk about what the end result of this build was. But for now, please enjoy the upcoming couple of minutes. I'm not too sure how long it's going to be. But yeah, you will see this was proper difficult. While we are pushing along, I even forget to take videos, and yes, when we have short deadlines, taking videos is the last thing on our priority list, to be fair, but I just try to remind myself at times. As you can see now, Eddie is masking out the area for the mold, and where you can see that indent, that's where we cut out the steel, and Eddie built a structure from cardboard to put it in, to give us the extra depth where we can push in the magnet of the driver. And at the meantime, you've seen this before. Puzzle from wood sticks. Milkshake. Go to description, I will drop in a link there where you can see what this milkshake is about. But this will be mixed with steel powder, pretty heavy stuff. We will try to make it as dense, as heavy as possible. It won't be a sealed box, so there won't be as much pressure in it, but still, you will see what comes out of it. driver's side is always the nightmare, especially if you are not left-handed, in our case, because it's difficult to reach in, to lean in. You have to be a contortionist, and it's not a 5-minute job to apply several layers, and we had to swap even with Eddie because, yeah, to be fair, I wouldn't be able to apply all the layers myself either. It's tough. I did some of these before and it's shit. And then after that you have to wait for wetting out till it cures, even if I just turn the heater off so you don't hear that rattling. But yeah, it takes probably, it's been on now for what, 45 minutes I think. Still needs another probably half an hour, and we use quite a lot of activator, but still you can't pull it out before it dries out completely. So just get ready. If you want something silly like this, then you know where the time goes. So while driver's side is curing, passenger side needed, yeah, a bit of body extension to overlap the gap on the carpet. As you can see, we have a strip of plywood, and then I took it out and applied fiberglass behind it to strengthen it up. It's many steps of fun. Did you? Yeah. That's how a tight mold comes out. It's not easy to put back in, that's for sure. So where you can see the steel now, that's where we'll cut it out to let it breathe. So driver's side is now out, so that's where you can see the extra depth we gained by cutting the steel and then molding into that. That's where we can push it out, the power mid-bass out of the way from the pedal. And it somehow came out, but now we have to build it up, and this will need more structural build because, yeah, we have nothing there on the top, so we will have to build it up with the usual puzzle technique and make it strong. So getting from this stage to that stage, which is almost ready, and weighs a ton, and then we have to cut it out, do the true IB part. But yeah, that takes a while. So now we can pop it back and see if it's easy. Let's see with one hand if I can put it back, because it didn't come out easy, that's for sure. It was an absolute pig. Yep, and it's not easy to put it back either. Okay. Yeah, it will need a bit of a play to put it back in, because we have multiple areas where carpet is pushing it, and it has to slide in that gap where we didn't leave much room for tolerance, that's for sure. Once we build up the layer from the inside and we can put a few millimeters on, then we may have to sand the back just to gain a bit more tolerance, or we may have to cut more out of this carpet so it's easier to slide it in and out, because at the moment with one hand I can't even slide it back in. Oh, almost there. Bloody hell. Yeah, this is difficult. At least people get an idea about tasks like this. Yeah, I have to do it with two hands. Here we go. After a little bit of trimming, now it can just slide in, even with one hand. Maybe have to cut away excess there, trim it back to the cut line. A bit more cutting here. This is where the side plastic trim panel comes to, all the way down. And that's it. Now we can start building it up. And that's where Eddie is getting there in shape. And then we can build the other side too. The drastic part has been done, as you could see. That's probably the easiest part on a car like this, because there's so much space from the outside once all the four corners were drilled. That easy to cut. So now the job is to put this back in with one hand if I can. It should go back relatively easy. Yep. And then now I can line this from the outside. Yep, nice and simple, so I can cut that enclosure. Now it feels like that was a waste to do, but we needed that in order to do the milkshaking and everything. So that's it. That's how you work with one hand, right, Eddie? That's how YouTubers do it. Shoot video and work at the same time. So yeah, that needs cutting. Then you can see one rib knot here, there's one there, and there's another one inside where we have box section. So 3 M6 bolts will pull the whole structure in place. We will isolate it, or we carpet the whole thing, deaden the whole steel wherever it's a bit ringy, and it's good to go. Well, this is probably a bit of a big jump now from the previous shot. So now this is driver's side with the cutout at the back. You can see this is slightly thinner, but we measured it, and this is 55% of the cone area of the two drivers. So it should be all right. I mean, there's no airspace behind the drivers. They pump the air straight out. So they should be able to breathe without any restriction. But yeah, shitloads of hours go into anything like this when you have to do bespoke fabrication, building up the whole structure, blending it to the interior. That's already trimmed and ready for dropping in. That almost took me, I don't even know, yeah, more than 5 hours just to get to that stage. Once that was done, I mean, from there to trim it, gasket, wiring, isolation, rain guard, all these things. So we have 2 layers of rain guards, one from the outside, one from the inside. This way that should be pretty restrictive against moisture and water, but the air can get through. And then the drivers are going to be linked. We have an XT connector on this mounting where we can disconnect it if it needs to come out, and then spade for one driver linked to another one, so they are going to run on 2 ohm. And then the whole thing is isolated with self-adhesive back carpet and then gasket all around the opening. So once it gets put in, that's where you can see the bolt points, plus there's a third there. Once it gets bolted in, all that should squash against the metal, and there's not going to be any hard surface against the metal. It's all now nice and soft, so we shouldn't have buzzes. Cool, let's drop it in. Let's see what it looks like in the car.
So now with the pedal in place, you can see that we don't have too much room. Fortunately, we have grills for the speakers and they don't take too much space up, so we should be clear. But without cutting the steel work that you could see from earlier, it wouldn't have happened. It would have been way too close to the pedal. It would have been not really possible to drive this car. So that's where we have the breathing over there. Same way, this is gonna have 2 bolt points. I can't even show it now without lights, but yeah, 2 to the sides. And then now, before Eddie left finishing his day, we drilled 2 more points, 1 at the bottom and 1 on the top, where I'm gonna fit 2 riv nuts, so we will be able to bolt it to the side and then towards the front, clamping it to the whole wheel arch. So this is gonna be super strong. As you can see, we painted the edges cut, so this way we won't have any rust issue. It was protected. So step by step, slowly. This is the plan on the outside. As you can see, we applied deadening. It's a Stag X5 multi-layer crazy thing I showed before. That is, yeah, bomb. That deadens everything properly. And you can see these closed cell foam pieces. This is not so squashy, really thick thing, 2 layers of it. So when the wheel arch liner comes against it, it will leave a gap, so the wave can disperse to the sides and downwards. It's not quite against the wheel arch either, because there's a mounting point there. As you can see, it's pushed away. It's difficult to tell how close it is to the actual cutout, but we don't want it to have the wheel arch liner straight against it, because that kind of defeats the whole point of having proper airflow. And this closed cell foam doesn't quite want to stick to the other one. We may apply a bit of super glue that will sort it out. But yeah, so now this wheel arch liner will need a thin layer of closed cell foam as well, and then it can go back and it will look just like from factory. This side though is ready for the drivers. It's bolted in, 1 bolt there, 1 at the bottom and 1 right there. So this is after jeez, I don't even want to finalize how many hours we've spent so far, but it's gonna get close to the labor time I spent on my enclosures in the Honda. But if I had to choose between something like this or those door boxes, when it comes to ultimate sound quality, then I think it's not a question what I would do. Well, we haven't heard this one yet, but I know what Midbass and Kicks in True IB do with the right drivers, especially a pair of them. So it's gonna be interesting. I can't wait. The joys of custom work is that you can't necessarily foresee everything, and yesterday night I was about to finish it, put the speakers in with the grills, but you know, driver's side is also finished, happy days. And then I had to send the video to the owner that, yeah, we did a bit of a fuck up, but it is what it is. So the beginning of today, I had to take this whole thing out after it was nicely bolted in, 1 bolt on the top, 1 at the bottom, 2 more there. That, you know, the mounting points for the drivers were lined up on the bench, and then kind of following a parallel line with the angle of the baffle, and then that bolt for the driver couldn't be put in because this shit is in the way, which is the bracket for holding the accelerator pedal. So I had to twist the driver a little bit, have new bolt points, so now we have access to that bolt, well, all of them. So finally I can put the speakers in. I don't even know what stage we are at. We missed a lot to record, right? But this has to be shown, because we thought that we were done with the Midbass install and we spaced the liners away far enough, but in reality it wasn't enough. And we wanted to see with Eddie what difference it would make if the liners were not in the way. And throughout the spectrum we saw a good 3.5, 4.5 dB, which is a lot. But more than anything is the fact that they were rattling as fuck. Even with the foam on them, it was just not doing it for us. It wasn't good enough. So we came up with this idea to cut them out where the breathing space is. And as you can see now, where he's gluing the rain guard in place from the back, and then from the front we have a mesh riveted through, so this way it will be relatively tidy. Shouldn't be too shouty, raising attention, although it's a pickup, so you can see it from a certain angle. We will see what it's like on the car, but then this way, you know, the base wave can go through without any pressure, back pressure. Hopefully we won't have that much rattle. And when people worry about all the water going through this, then well, what can I really tell them? Because there are always naysayers and people who worry about that, you know, all the pressure, water pressure, heating this. Even if anything, any vapor goes through the rain guard, then this is an inch away from the second part where we have dual layer there. So I don't think any water can go through. We will put it to the test as always. We haven't had any issue with any mid-bass install done like this so far. Well, we will see in a few years whether we see any different changes. But yeah, all these extra things are needed in order to make crazy installs. So at least you can see what goes into it. Because when did we realize that this had to be done? Like 4:30? Yeah. Now it's 7:30. Never since. Yeah, it's an extra 3 hours for both of us just to sort this one out, taking them out, clean them, cut the mesh, doing that. Just lifting the car is not a 2-minute job either. So it's gonna get there for sure. All right, guys, so we are at the very end of this project, handing the car over. So this is the part when I can show you what the mid-bass install became like. And here we are. The craziness, all those hours we spent on. We ended up with something like that. Yeah, it was difficult to squeeze it in, just enough space. Yeah, this plastic is scuffed a bit, that needs a bit of touch-up. But that's the passenger side. We will need a custom carpet, floor carpet, that will literally mold over that line. But we have already found a place where they can make them, so it should be cool. Now the factory carpet, if it's put in, actually protects the drivers pretty well. Actually, can we drop this one? Let's drop it in just to see what it's like if you put it back into the factory location. Because these cars, especially if they are used properly on building sites, then they need proper carpet. That's the thing, you don't even see the drivers. The good thing is that the driver works way below 200 Hertz crossover point, so it doesn't affect the response. If we use the kicks up to mid-range, and crazily, they measure up really high. So back in the day, people used to do kick builds, they put the mids there. It's doable, it's certainly doable to get good response. Not in every case, but in this case the dash doesn't go too low. Like in many cars, the dash goes way too low, the kicks is so far in that I would never even think of that. But maybe in this car you could get away with just tweeter on the top. Technically it wouldn't be as correct, stage wouldn't be as pinpoint in left center and right center as well. Yes, you can still get a high center stage with kick builds, but to me it rainbows a little bit. So far left, far right, and then left center, right center wouldn't be as accurate as with mids on the top. But we got pretty good results out of them. If you want to see the result of this build, if you want to see the RTA evaluation, then please go to the description. Then you can see a link to Patreon where we share videos, behind the scene videos, and also evaluations. Then it's all explained in long videos, all the measurement results and how it got tuned into the system. So this is our passenger side, and then I jump to the other side and you can see the driver's side, which was the really tricky part, because in right-hand driven cars it's quite a challenge to put anything into the kicks. But you could see along the progress, the way we cut the steel out, molded in, we managed to put it in, and it's not in the way of the foot. You can put all your foot on it, even people with huge shoes, it's clear. Yeah, if you can put your shoes against the grill and you can scratch the grill, but at least that's proper, really proper grill that came with the micro precision drivers, anodized, so it's not gonna, the paint is not gonna come off. Unfortunately, we couldn't save that. We cut too far and we could have molded further, but yeah, we will have a custom carpet that will mold the edge of that. And then even now, when I put the factory floor rubber floor mat back, let's see if I can do it with one hand while holding the camera. Is it there? Yeah, it's roughly there. So it sits over the driver a little bit, so that helps to protect it as well. And then you can't even really see the top one. We had a bit of a struggle with the wheel arch liner. That didn't quite work out the way we were hoping for, because yes, I could see that the liner went close to the steel where we had the cutout, and we spaced it away with the close-air foam. We left a good 20mm gap, but it wasn't enough. The two drivers just pushed so much pressure out that we had a lot of rattles. The whole plastic wheel arch liner came alive, and whereas in the Suzuki and the Clio you could see from previous videos, we didn't have that issue because they were straight out. Those cars didn't have wheel arch liners. We had no rails, nothing. They worked out beautifully. But in this one, we had no other choice but then to cut the plastic. We had to cut the plastic out, so we put in a small hole type mesh and then a rain guard behind it. You can see that even through the grills. So there's a layer of rain guard behind this too. If any moisture goes through this, then we have two more layers in front of the speakers, so nothing is gonna reach the drivers. Yes, people can always cry and moan about that, you know, oh, if you go to a huge flood or a muddy area, then that's gonna get messy, crap goes through. Well, mud is not gonna go through that, that's for sure. Plus this car is not really driven on crazy terrain surfaces, so you know that point is probably 50 centimeter, half meter, which is way up the door line. So you can drive through big floods, to be fair, before you reach that point. So, and to be fair, the cutout is starting around here in the steel, a bit further up. So yeah, it should be fine. Or maybe in years time we will take the drivers out and then see what happened behind them, but we did everything to make it safe. Yeah, we just got the plastic, pop rivets all around, rain guard behind it. Happy days. And from a distance from here you don't even see what's really been done there. So as you could see that, yeah, this was hard work. I didn't quite count how many hours we put in just into the Midbass, because we were doing the mids and the tweeter installation at the same time. But I think it's easy to say that we spent at least 90 hours just on the Midbass installation between me and Eddie. 90 hours is crazy, because the Midbass installation in my Honda took me roughly 80 hours. Having said that, would I build enclosures on doors, or would I do true IB Midbass installation for the finest sound quality? Well, after you've heard me praising true IB installation for sub and Midbass, I think for some of you it's not a surprise. If I have a chance to do kicks, mount drivers in kicks, and do true IB with the suitable drivers for the application, I would always do it. And it's 2022, so it shouldn't be such a new thing. Some of you may be watching this video
and you are in your 50s and 60s. And back in the 80s, 90s, when you were young, you must have heard builds, even back then when people were putting drivers into the floor or into the kicks in true IB, and how great those installs could work, and they still do the same. Physics doesn't change. Of course, it comes with a sacrifice, cutting up the car, and I always get poked for that. You know, what's the point? It's only just, you know, few percent of performance, and you sacrifice so much, you cut the car. But as I said it before, I can't put performance into a percentage comparison. It doesn't work like that. I've been asked before, you know, how much percentage can you give me from this build or that build I heard and you showed me. You can't compare it like that. One system is going to do something, the other system is going to not do that. So in that way, it's not 1%, it's all of it. You know, it's either doing something or not. And what's beautiful with true IB installation is that it's truly so clean, so accurate. You don't have phase related problems. You don't have cancellations and dips in the targeted frequency range in three-way, I must say, in three-way. But also, if you want to see what this installation was actually measuring, then please go to description. You can find a link to Patreon, where we have a lot of behind the scene content, proper in-depth videos. We have weekly topics, we have daily walkarounds, all sorts of things. And there's a video, almost an hour-long video, for evaluating the RTA measurements of this system, what this system was measuring. It's a very, very valuable lesson for some people who really want to understand how locations work out in a car and how you can actually target making it sound good and how you can tune it. I'm not going to teach you how to tune, how to measure and things like that in that video, even on Patreon, but that's hell of a lot to learn from that. You won't regret it, honestly. Those people who are on Patreon, they can all say the same, that, you know, try it, sign it up. I'm not pushing anyone, but try it. You will see there are so many videos out there that it's definitely worth checking that one out, and then you can see how this system was measuring. But what I can say, even if you don't join and you don't want to watch that long video, I can definitely say that this build was the first one where I ever managed to make the target line follow the high pass filter perfectly. This may not mean anything to you, but in most cars, mid-bass drivers roll off quite sooner, steeper than the ideal 24 dB octave slope. They start to drop way more, unless you select such a low target level that you pull everything down to it, but then you key your dynamic level, and yeah, it's not going to sound great. But in this car, it was so that easy to get the target line matching both left and right and follow the curves beautifully, and it showed. When we listen to the system, it's just something else, honestly. It's that category where you don't only say that, oh yeah, it's great, it pumps, it kicks, it whatnot, you know, it's just right, it's almost perfect. Could it be better? The question could be asked. Yes, I have videos talking about my dream system and seeing what these drivers were doing in this installation. It's safe to say that if you could ever fit 8s, 10s or 12s in the kicks up front, although yes, what car could fit such large drivers? I've seen people fit 12s, especially I think it was Matt Hall in the USA who had 12s, Acoustic Elegance 12s in the kicks up front, and that car won World Finals in America a couple of years ago, and that was definitely the highlight in that system, having two 12s in the kicks. And I could name so many people, even going back to the 80s and 90s, honestly, who did such crazy things. And please, someone bring me a car where we can do that. I wanna experience that. It would be epic. But even this, it worked out fantastic. We definitely managed to get what we wanted from this system. So I'm gonna cut it here, and please subscribe to the channel, because if you're not subscribed yet, you will miss the next one. And there's gonna be a follow-up to this video where we will show the mid-range and the tweeter installation. And there's just so much content coming. Also, it's worth to check out playlist on PS Sound YouTube channel. If you click on playlist, then I categorized most of the builds separately, so you get to see the projects we had. You get to see all the videos in those playlists. There are playlists for fabrication, there are playlists for teaser videos, walkarounds, explanation videos, all sorts of things. It's easier to find content that way. It's definitely worth checking the playlist as well. And yeah, feel free to share it. Honestly, that's the only way to push this sound quality madness and this whole car audio culture forward. Feel free to share it. Car audio is not just about booming and then pumping bass down the street. And please follow our social media channels as well. Links are in the description. It's worth checking those, because on YouTube I can't really share when we have friendly meetings, but on social media channels we always advertise when we have friendly sound quality car audio meetings coming up. We had one last weekend, last Sunday, and we have many people coming who could listen to many different setups, many different systems. That's the best way to learn about car audio. You know, following these videos, following pictures of other people's installs, it's just an eye candy. It gives you inspiration and it gives you drive to do something about your own system, fair enough. But if you really want to hear what's possible and what real systems do, then please follow the channels. You can see we will have probably a meeting in April as well, here in UK, down south. We figure out whether it's in Guildford or it's going to be done in Brighton. And yeah, we can show you what this crazy sound quality madness is about and why we do all these crazy systems. So this is it. I'm going to leave it here. Hopefully I will see you in the next one. And yeah, carry on pushing all this sound quality madness. Take care.